It was a chilly evening in October when Sarah decided to take a walk through the old, abandoned part of town. The sun had just set, casting long shadows that danced eerily along the cracked pavement. She had always been drawn to the mysterious, the unknown, and tonight was no different. As she walked, the streets became narrower, the houses older, their windows dark and empty like hollow eyes. The air grew colder, and an unsettling silence settled over the area, broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves or the distant hoot of an owl. Sarah found herself standing in front of an old, decrepit mansion, its once grand facade now crumbling and overgrown with ivy. She had heard rumors about this place, tales of strange noises, ghostly apparitions, and the mysterious disappearance of those who dared to enter. Her heart pounded with a mix of fear and excitement. She knew she shouldn't, but something compelled her to explore. The iron gate creaked as she pushed it open, and she carefully made her way up the overgrown path to the front door. With a deep breath, she turned the tarnished brass doorknob and stepped inside. The air was musty, filled with the scent of decay and abandonment. Her footsteps echoed in the vast, empty hall. As she explored the mansion, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. Shadows seemed to move in the corners of her vision, and she heard faint whispers that sent shivers down her spine. She tried to convince herself it was just her imagination, but the feeling of unease grew stronger with each step. She entered a grand parlor, its once luxurious furnishings now covered in dust and cobwebs. In the center of the room stood a large, ornate mirror, its surface tarnished and cracked. Sarah felt an inexplicable pull towards it and slowly approached. As she looked into the mirror, she saw not her own reflection, but the image of a young woman dressed in a long, white gown, her eyes wide with fear. The woman seemed to be trying to speak, her lips moving silently. Suddenly, a cold hand grasped Sarah's shoulder. She spun around, but there was no one there. Heart racing, she turned back to the mirror, but the woman was gone. Determined to find answers, Sarah ventured deeper into the mansion. She found herself in a narrow corridor lined with doors. At the end of the hallway was a heavy, wooden door that seemed to call to her. With trembling hands, she pushed it open and stepped inside. The room was dark, the only light coming from a single, flickering candle on a small table. In the center of the room was a large, wooden chest. Sarah approached cautiously and lifted the lid. Inside, she found an old, leather-bound diary. She opened it and began to read. The diary belonged to a young woman named Emily, who had lived in the mansion many years ago. The entries told of a happy life at first, but as she read further, the tone grew darker. Emily wrote of strange occurrences, of feeling watched, and of hearing whispers in the dark. The last entry was hastily scrawled and barely legible, describing a night of terror as shadowy figures closed in on her. Suddenly, the candle went out, plunging the room into darkness. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine as the whispers grew louder, more insistent. She tried to move, but her feet felt rooted to the spot. A cold breath brushed her ear, and a voice whispered, "Leave this place." With a surge of adrenaline, Sarah managed to break free from her paralysis and fled the room, the whispers following her as she ran through the mansion. She burst through the front door and didn't stop running until she was far away from the old house. Breathless and shaken, she looked back at the mansion, its dark silhouette looming against the night sky. She knew she had to tell someone about what she had experienced, but deep down, she wondered if anyone would believe her. The whispers in the dark were a warning, and she knew she would never return to that place again.